Hare Krishna and Pranam dear devotees. Welcome to our Sunday evening Bhagavad Gita sessions. We'll continue reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 2. So, let's get started. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swakadantikam. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्रील श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Hare Krishna. So please bear with me for my throat. I'm still not well. So let us start reading. In our last session, we started from verse number 2.22 and 2.21 से actually we started, and उसके बाद हमने 2.22 पढ़ा था। एक मिनट मैं निकालता हूँ, जिसमें उन्होंने कहा था कि the soul is changing the bodies just like the clothes, the garments we change in our day-to-day lives. और हमारी जो soul की जो 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 ज्ञान है वो भी चल रहा है. So let me share my screen. तो जैसे कि आप स्क्रीन में देख सकते हो कि the soul को जो है it takes a body and then it grows and then the cycle goes on and then it again changes from an old body again to a newborn baby and then it again continues and this cycle keeps on happening and happening. Or and soul is like changing the addresses, present body, next body, है ना. और उसमें हमने पढ़ा था कि it is the परमात्मा, the super soul, by the mercy of the super soul actually that we are able to change our bodies. और इसका हमने example भी पढ़ा था that sometimes that when a old car is there and we want to change to a new car, we don't become sad that we want to change to a new car because we are too much attached to an old car, so like that. So similarly, we shouldn't be bewildered by the change from one body to another of the soul at the time of death or the transmigration of soul. उसके बाद हमने पढ़ा था कि the soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor moistened by water, nor burned by fire, nor withered by wind. है ना. तो ये ग्राफिकली हमने इसको दर्शाया हुआ है किस तरह से. एंड उसके बाद और कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स पढ़े हमने सोल के. द सोल इज अनब्रेकेबल, इनसॉल्युबल, नाइदर बर्न्ड नॉर ड्राइड, एवरलास्टिंग, प्रेजेंट एवरीवेयर, अनचेंजेबल, इमूवेबल, इटर्नली द सेम. तो ये कुछ हमने पढ़े थे सोल के, लाइक द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स और प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ द सोल. And also the soul is invisible, inconceivable and immutable. और अब हम तो ये कुछ समराइज्ड कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं सोल के, है ना. तो ये हमने पढ़ा था. स्पिरिट सोल इज इटर्नली द सेम साइज एंड नेवर बिकम्स होमोजीनियस. स्पिरिट सोल इज सर्वगतः, प्रेजेंट एवरीवेयर, है ना. हमने इसका एग्जांपल लिया था कि दैट द सोल्स आर आल्सो प्रेजेंट एट द प्लैनेट्स ऑफ सन, मून एंड अदर प्लैनेट्स एज वेल. It is simply because we don't have that tendency to see. Doesn't mean that the soul or the living entities are not existing there. जैसे कि the souls, the living entities are also present in the fire. अब fire में भी हम कहते हैं there are fire bacteria, but we cannot stay in the fire. The living entities are present in water, but we cannot stay in water. But that does not mean the life is not present there. Actually, the soul is present. The living entities are present everywhere. Wherever you can see, the living entities are there. अब हम अगला पढ़ते हैं 2.26 से. Let us continue. And अभी ये there are 4-5 more shlokas where we are going to discuss about the science of soul actually. और soul का जो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं एंड सोल की जो प्रॉपर्टीज हैं भगवान बहुत डिटेल में एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं. प्रभुपाद के पर्पस में हम बहुत अच्छे से जान पाते हैं कि व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ इट. एंड 2.30 तक दिस सेक्शन कीप्स ऑन गोइंग ऑन वेयर वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस अबाउट द प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ द सोल. इतना डीप में वो कहीं नहीं मिलेगा. इनफैक्ट शास्त्र, दैट इज द ब्यूटी ऑफ अवर शास्त्र, दैट all the subject matters are so deeply explained and so deeply I would say discussed, or we can also ask questions from ourselves because we may think otherwise that this may not be true. So that is why we need to clear our doubts in a much better way. So you're always welcome to ask questions. Now let us read further. Let me share my screen again. So this is we are reading from 2.26. अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैनं शोचितुम् अर्हसि. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If, however, you think that the soul or the symptoms of life will always be born or die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. Purport. There is always a class of philosophers almost akin to the Buddhists who do not believe in the separate existence of the soul beyond the body. When Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, it appears that such philosophers existed. They were known as Lokayatikas and Vibhashikas. Such philosophers maintain that life symptoms take place at a certain mature condition of material combination. है ना? जैसे कि that is what the modern science also says, that at some point at a particular past there were some material combinations, or there were some conditions which existed which gave rise to the first cell, to the first life on earth. That is what the modern science just have faith on. They don't have a proven philosophy. They don't have a proven theory. They simply have faith on. They simply have theories right now. Because if it is not theory, then why can't you just prove it in the lab? Science means experiment. Everything should be backed by experimental knowledge and experimental nature. Science should mean that whatever you are claiming you should prove it by experiment. But we can see that life is coming from life. There is no condition that right now which science can make which can give rise to even a single cell, but to speak of huge complex bodies like ourselves, or a simple uh, body of a grass, or a simple grass as a living entity. They cannot even do that. Like, for example, cow only eats grass and gives us milk. So many things that cow gives us, है ना? And is it possible by any kind of other machine which जहाँ से हम grass as an input डालें और we get milk and so many other things which cow gives us as output, as milk, and so many other things which are useful for us. Even the cow dung and cow urine are also useful. That is what the Shastra says. So that is not possible by science. But this modern science simply believes and simply thinks that that at a certain point it must have happened, because they have completely ignored this thing. They completely ignored the Shastras. The modern material scientists and material philosophers also think similarly. अच्छा, इसमें एक और चीज है. I was also reading Prabhupada's. There is a very good conversation between Prabhupada and one scientist, and the book is called Life Comes from Life. उसमें हम क्या discuss? उसमें Prabhupada what is discussing is that the source of the living entities are living entities only, है ना? From matter, soul cannot become, or from matter we cannot manufacture life. और अगर ऐसा होता तो अब क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? If we think that, oh, at some point of time in past it happened, why is it not repeating it again? We see that even a single ant that is there is coming from some ant, like as father and mother, right? Even a single cell is coming from, like, a cell also divides, right? And amoeba divides, bacteria divides. So but they're not getting created from simply matter, because it is the presence of the soul which is coming, which Bhagavad Gita also says, and which Shastra says. Bhagavad Gita is Shastra only, which Bhagavad Gita says that it is the presence of the soul which actually makes the body moves, be it a bacteria or be it a human being as well. The modern material scientists and materialist philosophers also think similarly. According to them, the body is a combination of physical elements, and at a certain stage, the life symptom developed by interaction of physical and chemical elements. So they simply think that, oh, we are this body and we are made up of chemicals, and love is some chemical reaction going on in our brain, and some hormones getting injected into a bloodstream, and this is how we express the symbol of love, and that is how we express other emotions as well. But they cannot simply explain that all the chemicals and all the things that if I give it to you in one bag, can you make this body? No. अगर उनको लगता है that if we are simply this combination of chemicals and some physics and chemistry going on, so according to science, our value, like if I अगर मैं अपनी पूरी जो मेरा जो शरीर है, अगर मैं उसको डिफरेंट कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स में बांट दूं, जिसमें हाइड्रोजन, ऑक्सीजन, बाकी केमिकल्स, बाकी एलिमेंट्स आ जाते हैं, the actual value of the body as a chemical comes out to be around 70-80 rupees. So we can simply think from a logical point of view, are we only having a value of 70-80 rupees? Is it what who we are, or are we something more? Completely illogical kind of a thing. And even if you go to on scientific basis also, there also, like हमने जैसे पहले भी discuss किया, that why can't we prove it? Like they scientists say, oh, right now we don't have the technology, but tomorrow it will come. So it is like giving a post-dated check. Prabhupada used to say that it is like giving a post-dated check, that right now I don't have money, but take this check and tomorrow I will give it to you. There is no guarantee that tomorrow the money will be there or not. Simply the scientific claims are also like that. Actually, the Shastra is the real science, because they tell us the truth and they open the eyes, and in a way we can see that how things are actually happening or going on. And we simply don't have to, we simply have to read it and find it out and ask some questions, and we will be completely convinced. Even I myself had so many questions around how universe is working and who we are, where we are actually going, where we are coming from, and all the answers Bhagavad Gita was able to give me. I simply, मेरे को तो आगे भी जाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी थी. Simply Bhagavad Gita has all the answers to what our questions are actually. The science of anthropology is based on this philosophy. Currently, many pseudo-religions now becoming fashionable in America are also adhering to this philosophy, as are the nihilistic non-devotional Buddhist sects. Even if Arjun did not believe in the existence of the soul, as in the Vaibhashika philosophy, there would still have been no cause for lamentation. No one laments the loss of a certain bulk of chemicals and stop discharging his prescribed duty. तो वो यहाँ पे प्रभुपाद कह रहे हैं और भगवान भी कह रहे हैं कि ओके चलो मान लेते हैं कि ये सोल एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती, और उसके बाद आप यू आर जस्ट bunch of chemicals, and है ना, so then why are you worrying for the loss of such chemicals? Because that is so cheap thing. So you simply even for both the reasons there is no point to worry. There would still have been no cause for lamentation. No one laments the loss of a certain bulk of chemicals and stop discharging his prescribed duty. On the other hand, in modern science and scientific warfare, so many tons of chemicals are wasted for achieving victory over the enemy. According to the Vaibhashika philosophy, the so-called soul or Atma vanishes along with the deterioration of the body. So this is the Buddhist philosophy, है ना? Shunyavad or Nirvishesha Shunyavad. Ki, there is nothingness. So the existence of the so-called soul is only till the body is there, and after that it simply there is nothing, and there is no future, there is no past, and it simply, or we can also think of Mayavad as well, or where the soul, even if it may be there, it loses its identity and merges into the impersonal Brahman. But that is not a fact. But यहाँ पे, like Prabhupada is giving the counter, actually the counter case, that even if it actually is there, then also there is no point of lamentation. So आगे बढ़ते हैं. So in any case, whether Arjun accepts the Vedic conclusion that there is an atomic soul, or he did not believe in the existence of the soul, he had no reason to lament. According to this theory, since there are so many living entities generating out of matter every moment, and so many of them are being vanquished every moment, there is no need to grieve for such incidents. For this, according to this theory, but we know this theory is wrong. But just for the sake of having a conversation, just for the sake of knowing it or refuting it, we can think that in this also there is no point of lamentation. That is what Prabhupada is also giving. If there were no rebirths for the soul, Arjun had no reason to be afraid of being affected by sinful reactions due to his killings of his grandfather and teacher. But at the same time, Krishna sarcastically addressed Arjun as Mahabahu, mighty armed, because he at least did not accept the theory of Vibhashikas, which leaves aside the Vedic wisdom. As a Kshatriya, Arjun belonged to the Vedic culture and it behooved him to continue to follow his principles. ये बात भी सही है, जैसे प्रभुपाद ने बोला कि अर्जुन को डर था कि उसको पाप लगेगा कि जब वो इनको जो भाई बंधु हैं अपने जो सामने कौरव हैं जो खड़े हैं कुरुक्षेत्र के युद्ध स्थल पर, उनको अगर वो मार देगा तो one of the reason of Arjun not fighting the war was कि sin will incur unto him. But अगर ऐसी चीजों पे अगर हम बिलीव भी करें तो अगर कि अगला जन्म नहीं होता, कोई नहीं, अगर अगला जन्म नहीं होता तो कर्म भी कुछ नहीं होगा, क्योंकि आपने जो पाप किया अगला जन्म तो है नहीं, तो भोगोगे कहाँ पे? अगर कोई पुण्य किया अगला जन्म तो है नहीं, तो भोगोगे कहाँ पे? So in that thing also, but that is refuted in a sense, है ना, because that is not true. But this theory according to it, so it says in that way. So that is where we can understand that this theory is wrong. So that is what Prabhupada is also giving in the purport. Next slok padhte hain. 2.27. This is very important also, and very famous shlok as well. जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर्ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्माद् परिहरार्थे न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि. Translation: One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take his birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. So this can give us understanding at various levels actually. The one who has taken birth is sure to die, and one who has died, birth is also guaranteed. The next birth will also be there, until unless you take to Krishna consciousness and we become pure devotees of the Lord, and we get out of the cycle of birth and death. That actually happens, but that only the devotee knows, है ना, जो भक्त हैं वही जानते हैं चीज के बारे में, that this we can get out of the cycle as well. But for others, like for one who has taken birth is sure to die, and after that one is sure to take birth again. So in that thing also one should not lament. One has to take birth according to one's activities of life, and after finishing one's terms of activities one has to die to take birth for the next. यहाँ पे हम कर्म की बात कर रहे हैं. One's activities of life means उनके किए हुए कर्म, है ना. और जो हमने पढ़ा था कि जो हमको अगला जीवन मिलता है वो हमारे कर्मों के अनुसार ही मिलता है. हम जो डिजायर करते हैं साथ में हम जो डिजर्व करते हैं, और जो हम जो डिजर्व करते हैं वो हमारे कर्म डिसाइड करते हैं. डिजायर तो हम कर ही सकते हैं कि मेरे को इच्छा है कि कल को मेरा जन्म अमेरिका में हो, और मैं डिजर्व तो नहीं करता. हो सकता है कि मेरा अगला जन्म I may be born as an insect in America. It could be possible. And after finishing one's terms of activities, one has to die to take birth for the next. In this way, one is going through cycle of birth and death after another without liberation. This cycle of birth and death does not, however, support unnecessary murder, slaughter, and war. But at the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors in the human society for keeping law and order. The Battle of Kurukshetra, being the will of the Supreme, was an inevitable event, and to fight for the right cause is the duty of a Kshatriya. Why should Arjun be afraid or of aggrieved at the time of his relatives, since he was discharging his proper duty? He did not deserve to break the law, thereby becoming subjected to the reactions of sinful acts of which he was so afraid. By avoiding the discharge of his proper duty, he would not be able to stop the death of his relatives, and he would be degraded due to his selection of the wrong path of action. नेक्स्ट श्लोक पढ़ते हैं. अव्यक्तादीनि भूतानि व्यक्त मध्यानि भारता अव्यक्ता निधनानि एव तत्र का परिदेवना. Translation. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what is the need for lamentation? Actually, जैसे यहाँ पे बताया गया है कि अव्यक्त व्यक्त होते हैं ना, जो जो जीव होते हैं वो अव्यक्त होते हैं और व्यक्त होते हैं. इसको थोड़ा सा हम समझते हैं कि यहाँ पे हम किस चीज की बात कर रहे हैं. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. तो यहाँ पे जो annihilation की जो बात हो रही है, so that annihilation usually means जो प्रलय है, that is the महाप्रलय, or which happens at the time of when Lord Brahma ji, when it is Brahma ji's night, and when there is the end of Brahma's life. तो दो तरह की प्रलय होती हैं. There is one short प्रलय and there is a महाप्रलय. एंड तो उसमें हम डिस्कस देखते हैं कि जैसे कि when the living entities, the living entities who fall down from spiritual world to material world, they actually, and when the material creation actually takes place, तो हम भागवतम में भी आता है ये कि Krishna first expands into first quadruple expansion and then into the next second quadruple expansion, and from there he expands to Mahavishnu. महाविष्णु, जैसे हमने पिक्चर भी आपने कभी देखी होगी. द पिक्चर इज ऑफ वेयर लॉर्ड विष्णु इज सिंपली रिजाइडिंग, सिंपली स्लीपिंग, है ना. his रूप इज लाइक वो ऐसे लेटे हुए हैं and he is dreaming, and out of his dreams and from the pores of his body there are bubbles coming out. एक बार मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ अगर मेरे को मिलती है तो. So there are bubbles coming out of his pores. तो जैसे कि ये है, तो here it is Mahavishnu, he is lying, and from his body there are billions and billions of bubbles coming out of his body, which are actually universes. And this is a multi-universe kind of a setup, where from his pores, and when he is inhaling, when he is actually exhaling, these bubbles are going out, and when he is inhaling, the bubbles are going in. So for this duration, for that kind of inhalation and exhalation, the whole universe is existing, and that time is so long. वो भी हम अभी बताएंगे. And and that during that time only, all the जो living entities हैं who fall down from the spiritual world, they actually first go to Mahavishnu's body. And from Mahavishnu, these bubbles are arising, and in this bubble, there is then he further expands. Krishna further expands from to Mahavishnu, and from Mahavishnu to Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And within that Garbhodakshai Vishnu, he first fills that universe, half of it with his vire or water, his sweat, and half where we see that the universe, he is lying on the causal ocean, Karan water, and and when he is lying, and the Lakshmi ji is also serving गर्भोदक्षाई विष्णु there, और उनके वो पैर दबा रही हैं, और वो अनंत शेष हैं जो वो उनको ऐसे करके उनके साथ रहते हैं, तो वो भी हम देखते हैं. And he fills half of the universe with water, and then he lies down, and from his nabhi, from his navel, the stem goes, and at the end of the stem Brahma ji is there. And so Brahma ji is actually the first living entity of this universe. तो जब ब्रह्मा जी आते हैं तो वो अकेले होते हैं, और the universe actually does not exist. All the living entities, they are residing at the body of Vishnu only, and that is called unmanifested stage. And then ब्रह्मा जी, then he meditates कि उनको करना क्या है. वो पहले तो वो ऊपर नीचे जाते रहते हैं. वो जब सबसे पहले वो आते हैं उनकी नाभि से, तो then he sees ऊपर कुछ नहीं है, नीचे कुछ नहीं है, and it is so long like a ladder. वो नीचे जाते हैं, जाते रहते हैं स्टेम पे, उनको कभी एंड ही नहीं मिलता. फिर वो ऊपर जाते हैं, so he becomes frustrated, and then he starts to meditate. He starts to meditate on the sound actually, because it is a sound only which is existing at that time, nothing else is existing. So that is why sound is also the reason of creation. And that is also why we also emphasize on sound as well. Like when we say that there is no difference between Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and Krishna, that is also one of the way that we can think. And so then he starts meditating, and then when he meditates, and then Krishna in his heart, he reveals that what is to be done and what is his service. उनको वो सेवा देते हैं, and कि आप इस यूनिवर्स के सबसे पहले प्राणी हो, सबसे पहले लिविंग एंटिटी हो, and this is your services. The service is to create. And then Brahma ji creates Lord Shiva like Rudra, not Sadashiv, but Lord Shiva, who actually annihilates the universe in a way. And then the jo Vishnu hai, he actually maintains. So Brahma ji creates, Lord Shiva annihilates, and Lord Vishnu maintains. So in that way, then Brahma ji meditates, and then उनके हृदय में दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित होता है. हम पढ़ते हैं ना, दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो, सुबह गुरु पूजा में. So then in his heart, the transcendental knowledge is revealed by the heart, and all the Vedas are given by Krishna to Lord Brahma ji. This is the disciplic succession, the first disciplic succession which is there. And then Lord Brahma, and उनको वो कहते हैं, then you procreate. And then Lord Brahma, simply by his mind, he creates the 4 Kumaras. But then the 4 Kumaras refutes to have procreation. वो मना कर देते हैं. Then Brahma ji again becomes sad कि मेरे को एक ही सर्विस मिली थी ये यूनिवर्स को बनाने की, ये जगत बनाने की और procreate करने की, और मैं वो भी नहीं कर पा रहा. But then he again meditates, or then he again does the service, and then the universe expands, and then all the living entities, they come via the body of Mahavishnu to the material world. And Lord Vishnu simply glances on the material nature, and that glance is Lord Shiva. Because Krishna himself does not touch. Krishna himself does not touch the material nature, because if he will touch, the material nature will become spiritual, because that is his Bahiranga Shakti. He himself does not touch. It is the Vishnu forms who are there, and Lord Shiva actually who are there, who actually interacts with material nature. And then it is through Lord Shiva, and then Durga Devi, through which all the living entities then come in the material world. That is why Lord Shiva, unka jo the mode of worship is Ling, है ना? And Durga Devi is Yoni. So that is how the procreation happens, and then all the living entities, they come from a spiritual world to material world. So that is the meaning of unmanifested stage, and then the material world remains for some time. That is the manifested stage. And after Brahma ji's day, so Brahma ji ka jo ek din hai, that is 4 billion years long according to Earth years. 4 billion years. And then his night is also 4 billion years long. But during the day, the material nature, the universe exists, and during his night, there is a short kind of a pralay or small kind of a pralay, which where everything gets unmanifested, and then again Brahmaji creates on next day, and in Brahmaji's day there are 1,000 Chatur Yugas. One Chatur Yuga is Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, है ना? Which comes out to be 4.32 million years. And then there are 1,000 Chatur Yugas and 71 Manvantars. It is divided in that way. The जो Vedic chronology है and the cosmology है, it is divided in that manner. And once these 1,000 Chatur Yuga cycles are over, and then there is Brahma's night where there is no creation, and then again on Brahma's day there is a creation. So that is manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. It keeps on happening, and at the end of Brahmaji's life, Brahmaji himself actually winds up. He himself goes back to the body of Mahavishnu, and during that time, everything, all the Mahatattva is actually residing in the body of Mahavishnu only, and that is simply one exhalation. And when he inhales and when he exhales, this is one cycle of Brahmaji's life actually. And we can see that Brahmaji lived for 100 years, and for 100 years, so that brings so many trillions and trillions and trillions of years in according to our lifespan. So that is how actually the whole this is what the information actually we get from our Shastras. So let us read further. So all created beings are unmanifested in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what is the need for lamentation? According to Purport, accepting that there are two classes of philosophers, one believes in the existence of the soul and other not believing in the existence of the soul, there is no cause for lamentation in either case. Non-believers in existence of the soul are called atheists by followers of Vedic wisdom. Yet, even if for argument's sake we accept this atheistic theory, there is still no cause for lamentation. Apart from the separate existence of the soul, the material elements remain unmanifested before creation. From this subtle state of non-manifestation comes manifestation, just as from ether, air is generated, from air, fire is generated, from fire, water is generated, and from water, earth becomes manifested. From earth, many varieties of manifestations takes place. Take, for example, a big skyscraper manifested from the earth. When it is dismantled, the manifestation becomes again unmanifested and remains as atoms in the ultimate stage. The law of conservation of energy remains, but in course of time, things are manifested and unmanifested. That is the difference. Then what cause is there for lamentation either in the stage of manifestation or in unmanifestation? Somehow or other, even in the unmanifested stage, things are not lost. Both at the beginning and at the end, all elements remain unmanifested, and only in the middle are they manifested. And this does not make any real material difference. And if we accept the Vedic conclusion as stated in Bhagavad Gita, that these material bodies are perishable in due course of time, antavanta ime deha nityashokta sharirina, and that the soul is eternal, nitya shokta sharirina. Sharirina is antavanta ime deha, that body is going to be end, and but the soul is eternal. Then we must remember always that the body is like a dress. Therefore, why lament the changing of a dress? The material body has no factual existence in relation to the eternal soul. It is something like a dream. In a dream, we may think of flying in the sky or sitting on a chariot as a king. But when we wake up, we can see that we are neither in the sky nor sitting on the chariot. The Vedic wisdom encourages self-realization on the basis of non-existence of the material body. Therefore, in either case, whether one believes in the existence of the soul or one does not believe in the existence of the soul, there is no cause for lamentation for loss of the body. 2.29 Ascharyavat pashyati kaschint enam ascharyavat vadanti tathaiva chanya ascharyavat chainam anyashnoti Shrutvapi enam vedana chaiva kaschit. Translation: some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. ये तो मेरे को लगता है ये तो मेरी सिचुएशन है कि हम कह रहे हैं कि सोल अच्छा सोल ये है सोल वो है सोल के ये कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं बट फिर भी हम समझ नहीं पाते मैं समझ नहीं पाता कि what exactly this soul is because knowledge is there. Realization may take some time because realization means my actions towards others should change. It should bring I should bring that knowledge into action in my life. How it should change? First of all, I myself should think that I am not this spirit, I am not this body, I am spirit soul. If I am spirit soul, that means my identity is something different right now, which I am perceiving of. I am perceiving right now to be this body, to have this name associated with this cities, with this state, with this nation on this earth, right? But if I simply think myself not to be like on this bodily designation, but to bring myself on the platform of spirit, ब्रह्म भूत स्टेज जिसको हम बोलते हैं ना ब्रह्म भूत प्रसन्नात्मा न शोचति न कांक्षति समा सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद भक्तिम लभते पराम. ये भगवत गीता के 18 चैप्टर में आता है श्लोक. भगवान बताते हैं अर्जुन को कि in ब्रह्म भूत stage means first you realize that you are spirit soul, aham brahmasmi, prasannatma. Then you become, then at that stage you become joyful, na sochati na kankshati, and you do not think much or neither you lament much. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim lavate param. At that level actually bhakti starts. But we, or at least I am finding it difficult to understand that oh, this soul is I'm soul, you are also soul, because that should bring some kind of a change in my actions to others as well, right? Because at some point I can think that oh yes, I'm acting on not on the bodily level, at least at some points where we think that okay, let's suppose if there is a small insect which is there in our house, then instead of simply killing that insect, we simply take that insect in our hands, chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and put that insect outside of your house, because you cannot take that insect inside, and because that way you will you may be able to kill it, or you may do some kind of a sin. But if you simply take that insect in your hands and chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and then keep it outside, the difference is there is a whole lot of difference in both the actions. That is where the action actually brings into our lives, and we think that oh, we are not this body, we are soul. Even the insect is also living entity, and because they cannot speak, they cannot do that, then it becomes our duty to if we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to them, then in the next life they will get the human body, and they may be able to elevate themselves and go back home, back to Godhead. So that kind of a change when one brings in our lives, then we can at least still think that yes, we are not, at least for some time, we're not thinking on the bodily level, we're thinking on the platform of spirit. Purport: since Gita Upanishad is fully based on the principles of the Upanishad, it is not surprising to find this parallel passage in the Katha Upanishad. मैं संस्कृत को skip करता हूँ. The fact that the atomic soul is within the body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, and also in the microbic germs, है ना? Millions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, is certainly very amazing. So that isn't it amazing? Like a single inch of ground, you can find billions and billions of microbes, and these are all living entities, all individual living entities like us. Billions of them in a single inch of space, in a single inch of, in a single cubic centimeter of air, you know, and in a single drop of water also. That is the amazing thing actually of the soul. Men with poor fund of knowledge and men who are not as austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual atomic spark of spirit, even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge who imparted lessons even to Brahma, the first living being in the universe. है ना? Owing to a gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become so great and so small. So men look at soul proper as wonderful either by constitution or by description. But that is true. Soul is wonderful, है ना? And हम खुद भी आश्चर्यचकित रह जाते हैं simply to imagine that thing. That such a small spiritual spark is running us, and is not actually running us. It is who we are actually. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification that they have very little time to understand the question of self-understanding, even though it is a fact that without this self-understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution to the material miseries. This is very, very important. क्या कह रहे हैं प्रभुपाद? ये देखिए, इसको हम दोबारा पढ़ते हैं, थोड़ा सा इसको हम चर्न करते हैं. Illusioned by the material energy. So, illusioned by material energy means that we get the covering of this material energy, that we are not this, we are who we are, है ना? That we are not this soul, we are this body, and then we are not, and then we are here to enjoy, and that is also the prime purpose, that we are here, and we have got this punishment also. And but because of that covering, people are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification that they have very little time to understand. If I simply ask out of 100 that are you interested in discussing Bhagavad Gita, in hearing about Bhagavad Gita, in understanding who you are, you're not this body, your spirit soul, 95% of them will simply go on and will simply say we don't have time and we're not interested. Why? It is only 5 people out of 100, or even 1 or 2 out of 100 who makes that effort actually. And actually it is not even 100, it is thousands and millions actually. भगवान बोलते हैं मनुष्य नाम सहस्रेषु कश्चित् यतति सिद्धये यतताम अपि सिद्ध्यानाम कश्चिन् माम वेति तत्वतः. 7.3 में भगवद गीता के कि out of many millions one tries to understand this, and out of those millions who are trying to understand, hardly anyone knows me by tattva. मनुष्य नाम सहस्रेषु कश्चित् यतति सिद्धये, कि मनुष्य की बात कर रहे हैं हम यहाँ पे, सबकी बात नहीं कर रहे. बाकी living entities, तो there are so many of them, but it is only possible in, first of all, in Manushya Jivan. And out of that Manushya Jivan also, we see so many of people, so many of them simply wandering here and there, and they have no clue what life is actually. Some simply have an aim to go to foreign country and live a better life, have some better medical facilities. But last में देखिए प्रभुपाद क्या लिख रहे हैं, even though it is a fact that without this self-understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat. So sometimes it happens that there are people who are very opulent, and they are living a very good life in foreign countries and everything, but they will ultimately be defeated because death is the truth. That is a very, very important thing. They are defeated ultimately actually, because they are not able to save themselves. Neither they are able to save their children, neither they are able to save their grandchildren, because death will come to everybody, and that is the ultimate defeat. And defeating death is the success actually. Without this self understanding and without this self realization, we cannot come to this understanding. And perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution of the material miseries. And we are simply wondering that, oh, मेरी salary बढ़ जाए, मेरा loan उतर जाए, मेरे बच्चे पढ़ जाएं, मेरी problem solve हो जाए, मेरी health ठीक हो जाए. But we are not making a solution to our ultimate problems. We are making a solution to our material problems, which are temporary and short-lived. This will again come if we don't work on this solution, on this problem in this life. This will again come, and in next life we don't know what kind of body we are going to get or what circumstances there. So we should not leave that thing to a chance. Once we have understood, once we have come to this understanding, we should stick to it and take it with more seriousness and take it with more sincerity. So like that. Because we should not be defeated in that manner. We should not be defeated by death. We should defeat death actually. In Krishna consciousness is the only solution, is the only way. Some people who are inclined to hear about the soul may be attending lectures in good association, but sometimes, owing to ignorance, they are misguided by acceptance of the super soul and the atomic soul as one without distinction of magnitude. It is very difficult to find a man who perfectly understands the position of super soul, Paramatma, the atomic soul, Jivatma, their respective functions and relationships, and all other major and minor details. जैसे कि मैंने बताया, it is very difficult to understand all these things. And we cannot expect everybody actually to understand about all these things. That is why, like Prabhupada also used to say, that we cannot expect everybody to come to our lectures and understand what we are actually teaching. This is not something simple. This is not something that anybody and everybody can understand. Actually, this gyan and this science, not everybody can understand. Only few people can do that. Those who are, and if they are at leaders of the society, that is even more better, because then they will know that how to guide the society. And that is why Prabhupada always used to say that one thing is that we follow Krishna consciousness, but the other challenge which also remains is that we have to establish Devi Varnashram Dharam in the society, because not everybody is expected to understand this, but everybody should get a chance to actually to go back home, back to Godhead, to understand actually who they are, what is their relationship with God, and what are actually they doing, what is material nature, how it is working. And but the best part about this age is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us so mercifully the way by which we can understand, by which anybody actually can understand. They, even if they don't understand the philosophy, if they simply chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, then they will understand. And that is actually the crux. That is actually the whole subject matter of all the shastras actually. Holy name is actually the crux actually of everything. And that is why this yug is not about understanding shastra or reading like that. That is important, of course, but this yug is about sankirtan. This yug is about spreading the holy name of the Lord, and that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. He mercifully gave the highest of everything, the highest, which means the love of Godhead. He mercifully gave. And how did he give? He said, simply chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Simply go on chanting and you will realize everything. So that is why Sankirtan is so very important, and our chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so very important. आगे बढ़ते हैं. And it is still more difficult to find a man who has actually derived full benefit from knowledge of the soul, who is able to describe the position of the soul in different aspects. But if somehow or other one is able to understand the subject matter of the soul, then one's life is successful. क्योंकि because I've understood now that I am not this body, I'm spirit, soul, and that is actually the first step and the first understanding about our journey on in spirituality. Spirituality, actually, the word spirituality derives from spirit, and spirit means soul. So that is the key. The easiest process for understanding the subject matter for self, however, is to accept. Ab dekhiye, Prabhupada is giving the secret here. So you take it in a way. The easiest process for understanding the subject matter of self, however, is to accept the statements of Bhagavad Gita spoken by greatest authority Lord Krishna without being deviated by other theories. So understand it as it is without being deviated, because there are other theories as well. If you will simply hear the Mayavad theory, they also have all the explanations of Bhagavad Gita. But that is what Prabhupada is saying, that accept the statements of Bhagavad Gita, who is spoken by the greatest authority, Krishna himself, without being deviated by other theories. But it also requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice. Penance means parishram and tapasya, either in this life or in previous ones, before one is able to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna can, however, be known as such by the causeless mercy of the pure devotee and by no other way. So important. दोबारा पढ़ता हूं मैं. Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can, however, be known as such by the causeless mercy of a pure devotee and by no other way. And that pure devotee is Srila Prabhupada, actually, who is giving us Krishna through his books, through his lectures, through his conversations, through his letters, and through ISKCON. He has given us that way, isn't it? And there is no difference between how Prabhupada gave and what Prabhupada taught and what Prabhupada lived. And और उसके बाद जैसे यहाँ पे लिखा है कि it requires a great deal of penance and sacrifices. Penance and sacrifice means tapasya and sacrifices. So what happens is that either in this life or in previous lives, either अगर हम इस जीवन में कृष्ण भावनामृत में आए हैं, तो इतना जरूर मान के चलिए कि हमने पिछले जन्म में वो सारा कुछ किया है जो इसको करने के लिए हमको चाहिए था. Lots of tapasya we might have done, we must have done actually, and we have done everything that should have been done, because भगवान कहते हैं एक्चुअली भगवद गीता में 7.19 में, बहुनाम जन्म नामन्ते ज्ञानवान माम प्रपद्यते वासुदेव सर्वमिति स महात्मा सुदुर्लभ. कि बहुनाम जन्म नामन्ते, after many millions of births, है ना, ज्ञानवान माम प्रपद्यते, and after attaining so much knowledge and understanding, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, that one who understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Vasudev is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no difference between both. That Mahatma is very rare. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. That is so rare. This thing is so much in rarity that we should understand that. And so once we have come to this, we should realize that, oh, I must have done so many penances and so many things that I must have done in my previous lives. That is why I have come in the association of devotees in this life, and it is because of this mercy of the devotees, and it is because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, and because they themselves are getting the mercy from Srila Prabhupada only, right? That we have come to this path, we have come to this process of Krishna consciousness. So we must take it with utmost sincerity and with full seriousness, and we'll see our lives has changed. My Guru Maharaj My Srila Prabhupada used to say to Guru Maharaj that so many lives, hai na? Or Guru Maharaj also used to say that so many lives you have given to Maya, so many lives you have given to sense gratification. Just try to give one life to Krishna. This one life, just give it to Krishna, and then see, है ना? Then see what benefit you get. So, because अगर नहीं भी कुछ मिलता, so it was just one life out of billions, out of millions. So we did not lose anything, but you will see what will actually we will gain. So we have given so many lives to Krishna, to Maya. We have so many lives to our own self-controllership, to our own sense gratification. But once we have come to understand Krishna consciousness, if we'll simply give this one life to Krishna, we'll see everything will change, and our our lives will completely change. So with this, we'll end our today's session of Bhagavad Gita. I hope it was not so कि मैंने कुछ it was not so strong or something, and but it was so relishing uh, to read from these verses of Bhagavad Gita. I never read these verses in this manner actually, and I myself is getting so many understanding and better realizations that along with all of you that I simply cannot tell you. So so simply amazing to read, to read Prabhupada's purports, to read Bhaktivedanta purports, and read Bhagavad Gita. So with this, we'll end our today's session of Bhagavad Gita because we are already 2 minutes past our scheduled time. So if you have any questions or if you have any comments, you're most welcome to ask. Otherwise, we'll close the session for today. And we'll so iske baad there is only one verse which is left for the science of soul, and then we'll understand how Krishna actually gives Arjun a different understanding of prescribed duty in next upcoming shlokas, that how one should perform their duty out of as a matter of duty, because Arjun is a Kshatriya, so as a Kshatriya he should fight. We'll understand from 2.31 to 2.3738. We'll understand how Krishna is giving the next reason. The first reason was we are not this body, we are soul, and they're also souls. So then why are you lamenting? And you're not killing anybody. So this is one part. The other part is you should do your duty. And then Krishna brings Karam Kand, and then he brings Karam Yoga and Buddhi Yoga into picture. We'll understand about all this thing because this chapter is a crux of Bhagavad Gita in a summarized manner as well. So we'll understand about it in our upcoming sessions. So no questions, I think.
Prabhuji, I have few questions if you don't mind.
Yes, Mataji, please go on.
Prabhuji, you were referring about lamenting about our life issues when about the life and the soul, what we go through. So I have few queries. Like first question, which comes to my mind. Everybody knows little bit of that we are soul and we leave this body and go. Still, we are having all these expectations, all this because of the what do you say, our indriyas and everything. But how do we get rid of this lamenting thing? Why we'll moan about our own life? And because that's easier said and done. But still, I want to know, and I want if we can get rid of those things mentally. Physically, we can't. If somebody's suffering from cancer or anything, they know that physical pain will be there. But if mentally they will, get rid of that issue, at least half of the pain will go.
Yes. Yes, Mataji. Very good question, actually. My Guru Maharaj also got the similar questions in that manner, and he would simply answer that it takes time, and what we actually have to do is simply have to remain in the process and follow the process properly, and it will automatically happen. And we can
the righteous path.
Follow the process of Krishna consciousness, Mataji, that we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we chant our japa. If we are not chanting our japa, we should start at least one round from in the beginning, and then we gradually increase it from 1 to 2, because standard is that we should chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, like mala every day. That is the standard that Srila Prabhupada has given us, and we follow it. And if we are not doing, we should start chanting on one round at least. It usually takes 7 to 8 minutes, and along with our chanting, because it is the chanting actually which makes things clear, which will make things clear.
The
And
chanting.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Because I never heard about this. Though I know the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. We all sing, but
Yes.
I have never gone deep down inside that chanting.
Yes, so I can help you understand it, and I can help you start it actually. And you can give me a call separately. I will make you understand and how we can start chanting it on our beads. If you don't have, you can get the beads from the temple or from the.
I
Uh,
have the beats.
you
Generally, I
have.
do
Yes.
Mahamrityunjay mantra on this.
Okay, okay, okay. So I can tell you, I can let you know that what is the process. So that is what our Guru Maharaj used to say, that if we simply follow the process of chanting, of honoring prasad, honoring only prasadam, that if we are eating, we should offer that as a bhoga first to Krishna, and then accept it as prasad and associate with devotees, you know, and follow the 4 regulative principles. 4 regulative principles means no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. And if we follow these principles, we will understand this thing and lamentation will go away.
Okay.
Yes, Mataji. So it is a gradual step. It is a gradual step. It does not, it can happen for few, like सब किसी की गाड़ी बहुत जल्दी चल पड़ती है, मेरे जैसे की गाड़ी वो धीरे धीरे चलती है, लाइक कछुए कछुए की चाल की तरह. So but everybody has their own journey, but we should start taking to this process. And if we don't, if you're not following it right now, जैसे कि मैंने आपको बताया, that if you are inquisitive, we can inquire that okay, what is the process and how to do it and how to follow it. So like that.
Okay. And Prabhuji, you were referring about, when Brahmaji was like, he was manifesting and unmanifesting the Brahman. So somebody, he's like a father. So he created the Brahman and he was, Pralay, he's creating to finish everything. So how could a parent can kill his own kids and again start? So that is.
हाँ, तो यही तो माता जी हम पढ़ा भगवत गीता में सोल के चैप्टर में, that it is the soul is not cannot a soul cannot be killed, and it is actually the soul is simply changing the bodies, and वो तो सिर्फ ब्रह्मांड क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, and within that only there are so many living entities changing the bodies every day.
Right.
है ना? So they're going through so much process of like fear as well as pain. But इसको हम ऐसे दे सकते हैं that they are in a neutral position, like they are being demigods, and but actually Brahma ji is the creator, but the supreme creator is Krishna. Because ब्रह्मा जी को कौन क्रिएट कर रहा है? ब्रह्मा जी को तो भी तो भगवान ही क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, like create कर रहे हैं as in like yes, है ना? So that is a miniatured creation, but the actual creation is taking place by Krishna, through Krishna only. And so but in a sense we can say that yes, your question is right, that how can one father actually kill somebody, है ना? But they are not actually killing. जो हमने last time ऐसे पढ़ा था, I think you were not there in the session, that it is because of the mercy of the super soul only that we are changing these bodies from one body to another. जैसे कि आपके पास एक गाड़ी है, और अगर आपकी गाड़ी बहुत पुरानी हो चुकी है और आपको गाड़ी को चेंज करने नहीं दे रहा, और आपको बोल रहे हैं कि रोज इसी गाड़ी में ऑफिस जाओ, और वो हर दिन ब्रेक डाउन हो जाती है, आपको किसी को बुलाना पड़ता है, कभी इंजन खराब हो रहा है, कभी लाइट नहीं चल रही, कभी चलते चलते बंद हो जाती है, कभी पानी में फंस जाती है, यू आर फेसिंग सो मेनी प्रॉब्लम्स. और कल को आके मैं बोलूं कि ओके यू गिव मी दिस, आप ये गाड़ी छोड़ दो, ये नई गाड़ी ले लो फ्री में.
Right.
So you will say, oh yes, so good, such a good thing. You will not lament actually, है ना? So that
what
is
you
how.
are referring to the cycle of life, right? Which is
Yes.
going. But
Yes.
again, he's finishing the Brahmand itself. So cycle life initial stopped, and then another new genre of life will start.
Yes.
Okay. Another thing, Prabhuji, like we as human, we do have our sins, we do have our own expectation. Any issues, we kill each other, something like that. But when it comes to insects, animals, and not insects, so do they also have the same issues? Because they're also getting killed and then also coming to human life also.
Yes. So good question. So actually, there are 8,400,000 species of life, but
Okay.
other than the species of human, and out of 8,400,000, like 84 lakh, 84 lakh, 4 lakh species are of human,
Okay.
and that species is counted from the way of the possibilities of consciousness कि कैसी चेतनता हो सकती है. And
Okay.
out of, and other species are lower kingdoms, or other kingdoms है ना, like higher or lower, but 400,000 are human. And but rest of the 800,000 is animal kingdom and other, like there are jalchar, and then there are non-moving beings like trees are there, and then there are moving beings, and then there are beings who are they live, they are in airborne and they're waterborne, right? So there are different qualities and like that. But all the species other than human life, they don't follow the karma philosophy, the karmic way. They
Okay.
don't get the sin of killing things or eating things. Like for example, there is a lion or there is a tiger, and he for for sustaining he has to kill,
Right.
but he doesn't get a reaction for that.
Okay.
They are in the auto mode. It is only in the life, or only in the species of human, that we get the karmic reactions. But
Right.
all the insects and all the animals and all the plants and everything, all the animal kingdom or the lower species, they are on auto mode. Auto mode means जैसी उनकी प्रवृत्ति है वो वैसा करते हैं और उनको उनका रिएक्शन नहीं मिलता.
Okay.
Yeah. and
नेक्स्ट
and
लाइफ क्या होता है?
sorry.
उनकी नेक्स्ट लाइफ में फिर वो सेम चीज साइकिल चलेगा when they have not done anything sin, so they shouldn't repeat the same.
अब उनकी नेक्स्ट लाइफ कैसे होती है माता जी? दैट वंस यू फॉल टू अ लोअर स्पीशीज, you have to go through all the 8,400,000 species.
Oh,
Yes,
अच्छा.
that is the cycle. Once you fall to a lower species, you go through all the species.
But
And
probably another thing, suppose I am a human, I have done something sin, I haven't got a punish in this life. Next life, I take a birth and I don't know, without any mistake, I don't have
yes,
hair, hands, legs, anything. And the person keeps thinking, God, why you have made me like this? And he will
yes,
never see what hasn't happened before. But
yes.
probably that I always fight with Bhagwan, that why this is you're doing. Somebody is doing something sin, you should punish the person, reprimand the person in that life only. Then the person will realize. But
Hmm.
if you do give it to next life, there's no point, because other person will keep wondering why it happening with me, and whole life will sulk or lament, and then next life you'll have some issue. But this is also not fair. Sorry, I'm asking stupid questions,
Yes,
but
no, no,
I
no.
do
It is a very perfect question. Actually, it's a very perfect question. I'll answer that with a very simple analogy or a real fact from our history, from Mahabharata. Dhritarashtra, you know Dhritarashtra, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So Dhritarashtra, in his previous life, he was a king, and he there is a, yes, it is a pastime that he somehow put fire to a nest of a bird,
okay,
and within that nest, or nest of a bird, or some say to a nest of a spider, and whatever it is, in that kind of an incident, the 100 children of that bird or that spider got burned and they were killed.
okay,
So now, as a karmic reaction, he has to lose his 100 children also, right?
okay,
Like for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
okay. But it was intentionally he did it.
No, no, intentionally or unintentionally, the reaction is there. The point is, intentionally or unintentionally, the reaction is there. For example, if you will put your hand in fire, either intentionally or unintentionally, it will get burned.
But unintentionally we can walk over any and small insects and they would have died. So we'll get punished
No.
for that also.
Okay. So just let me complete my story. So Dhritarashtra, like unintentionally or intentionally, I would say unintentionally only, that the children were burned. The 100 children of the spider or a bird were burned. The nest was destroyed. And now Dhritarashtra, as a karmic reaction, as a karam philosophy, as a karmic reaction, he has to lose his 100 children in one way. But
Okay.
but right now he does not have that piety or that punya to gain 100 children.
Okay.
So what he will do in for the next few lives, he will have to attain that piety. He will have to
Oh,
gain that piety only to get a karmic reaction of that 100 children which he killed.
okay.
So sometimes it happens that there are karmic reactions are of three types or two types. One is an instant karma where you slap somebody and they will slap you. The
Hmm.
other is a delayed karma where the seed has been sowed, but the fruits will come little later. For
Okay.
example, like the crop of wheat, the seed is sown, and in within the same cycle, within the same year, you will get the fruit as well, right? The crop wo badi ho jati hai, and then you harvest it, and then you distribute the seeds as wheat.
Mhm.
But the same seed, if it is of coconut, the coconut seed for it to fructify it as fruit, it takes 7 years, Mataji.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So the seed is different. That is why the reactions are also different, and their chronology is also different.
Mm. So
So
Prabhuji, for
that
me, yeah, when if I'm
yes,
going through a pain in my own life because of any of my own people, so it might, and without doing any mistake or anything, so I can connect it to my previous life karma.
yes,
That
it is a fact actually.
okay.
Yes. So we see now, and like we see so many children, they are born, and because of something they die, and they
Yeah.
don't even see a single day. Why is that? It is because of their previous karma only. Good or bad, we don't know.
Okay.
Yes, some are born like some are
Without
born
any.
with some disability. Some are
Uh,
some face some accident, and then they are unfortunately they lose their lives. Why is it actually happening? It is the karma, the whole. It is the karma actually the whole thing. Which is driving the whole thing. And Bhagavad Gita में आता है 4th chapter में that uh, to understand karma, it is a very guhya thing, very complex thing. It is
that's
very very complex.
Prabhuji, I want to say one thing. When my daughter was born, she didn't have life. She was lifeless, no heartbeat, no pulse. And the pulse came after 45 minutes. That time I was holding Durga Ma's photo and I kept doing Mahamriti mantra. So I didn't know what was it was that, and many thoughts were coming to my mind, but still I just dedicated this to my God that if something I have done right, then she has to be fine. And then obviously then she was fine and everything. Then she's also your devotee. She's attending Krishna. So these things happen. So I keep on wondering that I remember one episode I had seen where this lady Ganga Maya, so she used to put all these suns on the water, and in order to make them relieve from this earthly thing. So I kept on thinking that whether she has come back to this earth, is it a good thing or is she going to suffer? Because have I done the right thing to persuade, push God, in terms of my own. I might have been I'm a very different person. I always think God is my own people. So I said I requested you and then you come back. So is there something good she's going to make in this world? Because if she has come from that way with the heartbeat and pulse is not there, doctor made him declare that she's not going to survive, that she's not then anything. She was not in a, her skin color is also blue and purple. Oxygen didn't go to her brain. So everything was finished. So I always keep thinking that is it the right thing, we did in terms of bring her back to this earth? So, because you see different things and without, because I don't have any knowledge of, the knowledge what you are having. So I didn't have, or still I don't have. So we keep contemplating so this life, and because then people say, ये दुनिया जो है ना, you go through all the pain and misery and everything, and so you have done something sin, that's why you have come, taken a birth here as a human to go through that phase of to balance the balance sheet. So I keep thinking, so that is something what you're saying, that delayed karma might be it was been punished in some form and then she has come as a gift. So I don't know what is the mercy of God.
Yes, Mataji, that thing even I also don't know. That so what is but one thing we can say that everything is done by the will of Krishna, actually the will of God. And we may think that oh we brought them back or we or something like that actually happened. but nothing
Yeah, we
actually
don't know.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing actually happens. The doctors actually, they cannot do anything. If
Right.
अगर वो कर सकते, they would have saved many others as well, है ना?
Right.
If we can say that, oh, we brought them back, then why can't we keep them who are leaving?
Right.
And so that is how, but actually we can say it as the arrangement of the Lord only, and as the arrangement of Krishna, because first of all everything is happening by that arrangement only. And like you said, like you are also following this path of bhakti and devotion, and attending, and she is also, your daughter is also like, she's a devotee. So
Yeah.
that thing you can be very much sure of, that uh, to have this life, and to have this as an opportunity to become a devotee, as a night devotee of the Lord, is much better opportunity than not having it. No?
Right.
So what actually matters is that how we are actually going to take our life from this onwards, rather than thinking of like what actually happened, or things like we can think in a manner that, okay, now what I have to do, I've come to know this is what actually it is. This is karma, this is Krishna, this is God, this is Krishna consciousness. What I am going to do now?
Right. Okay.
That is the substance.
That is what I think I'll connect with you, just to understand the detachment. And I think once that we become little bit, if I learn 5% of the detachment, might be life will be much easier to, you know, when you detachment, something is very important, because without that, we'll always be in this karma thing. That is
Yes,
what
ma'am.
I want to
And
learn.
that comes from knowledge, gyan and vairagya. So that comes in from knowledge. And our philosophy is not simply detachment, our philosophy is yukta vairagya, that we remain detached to, or we can employ everything in the service of Krishna rather than becoming detached. Like, for example, I may be having this phone. May be having this phone. One way is to say that, okay, I want to become detached to this phone. Let me throw this phone in dustbin. The other way is, I want to become attached to this phone. Let us bring this phone into the use of the service of the Lord. And I can run WhatsApp groups. I can send shlokas to everybody, and I can make Prabhupada quotes, and I can distribute this knowledge of Krishna consciousness and this Prabhupada nectar to others as well. This is like Yukta Vairagya. I may not be attached to this phone, but I'm using it for the service of the Lord.
It's called Yukta Vairagya.
Yukta Vairagya. Yukt means union or united. Still and Vairagya.
Okay. Roji, last question. So 20, 30 years back, when you used to talk about God, people used to listen, and the very few people who are not, into God and this feeling, so people used to make mock of him. Now the things have changed. So most of them, because I as a person, it comes out from my mouth, it's a God, this thing. So people try to make laugh, then they say, oh, have you seen God? You interact with God, as a mockery. So that hurts, because I said, okay, that's my belief. I don't want, I'm not pushing you guys to believe in that, but that's my belief. So in that case, how to handle that situation?
Yes,
Because it
Mataji.
actually hurts.
Yes, Mataji. The safe thing is, like, in initial stages, once we see, what happens is that everybody goes through this stage, where our own sapling of bhakti is very small and it is very sensitive. So what happens is, in initial stages, that we should try to avoid these kind of people, and avoid having discussions with these kind of people who are blaspheming God, who are refuting God. Otherwise, like, if we can also, like, if once we are a little mature, or once we have got some knowledge or understanding, or once we can defeat them, or not defeat, I would say, or once we can put our own point in a way that the others, they don't feel bad, but actually they are convinced by our way of reasoning and understanding. If we can do that, it is very good. But if we cannot do it right now, then we should simply try to stay away from them.
But Prabhuji, भक्ति का तो कोई तर्क होता ही नहीं है, because
नहीं,
भक्ति तो
क्यों नहीं
भक्ति
होता है
है.
माता जी? क्यों नहीं होता है माता जी? बिल्कुल होता है, ऐसी बात नहीं है. Right? There will be many people who would want a philosophical kind of an answer to what we are actually doing, that whether God exists or not. Simply say, okay, can you show me God? For our
Yeah, that people will
understanding,
say.
we can see, okay, what qualification have we got to see God? Even if I show you God, what will you do? What will you speak? How can you even do that? Because God is not something material, but you have got material senses. We
But
have got
probably
material
tell me one
senses.
thing, when Krishna came and shown his that Vishal that roop in the Sabha, there's only two people could see, no others
Yes.
could see. So
No.
in that case, I'm just trying to connect it. So when you are saying ना कि God आएंगे भी तो दिखाई ही नहीं देगा, क्योंकि जो believe करते वही देख पाएंगे ना.
नहीं ऐसा नहीं है माता जी, because Krishna doesn't only has Virat Roop, because Virat Roop is a very small kind of episode which Krishna actually showed, but his original form is 200 from Vajendra Nandan Krishna form, his original form, and his Narayan form is 400 Vishnu Roop, है ना, Narayan Roop, and then Krishna showed as Virat Roop to Arjun, but that is not only his form. Of course, for even for seeing Virat Roop, that he Arjun needed Divya Drishti, and which Krishna also gave it to few others and Arjun as well, and to Sanjay, and in that manner they saw it. But we can also see that that is not the only form that Krishna has. He has millions of forms actually, and his most prominent form is 200 Sham Sundar form, which is Rajendra Nandan Krishna, which we actually worship, है ना? Which we actually worship on the altar, which we actually worship as deities, and he is simply holding the flute and bent on three form on three edges like that. But for our understanding, we can say that okay, what qualification have they got actually to see Krishna? Even if I ask them, or I actually heard this one from Amol Leela Prabhu as video, that some people they told them, ki, okay, God is there. Why can't you show me God? That means if you can't show, then it does not exist. Then he simply said, okay, can you show me your intelligence? Can you show me your mind?
Right, yeah.
So in that way, what we are actually saying, that something that you cannot show does not exist. That means your intelligence does not exist.
Understood.
So that is very simple way of asking them or telling them, or in a very polite manner, we can simply ask and tell them that okay, that does not mean that something that you cannot see does not exist. Have you seen electron? Have you seen a proton? You haven't seen electron and proton, but it exists. The whole electricity is working on that fact only. Right.
I guess. Thank you so much.
But can you show? Can you show me? Can you put an electron on my hand so that I can see? No. What senses actually have we got? We are we have four defects in our senses, and we try to we cannot even hear beyond 20,000 hertz and below to 20 hertz. We cannot see in night. For night to see, we need light, right? And light is something external. Our senses are so imperfect.
Right.
Actually, we are blind. It is because of light actually we are seeing. अगर अंधेरा हो जाए तो आप नहीं देख पाओगे, नहीं देख पाएंगे ना. That's true. That means we are imperfect. So what senses have we got actually to see Krishna?
That's so true. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you for asking such questions.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we'll end this session for today. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. नंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. गौर प्रेमानंदे. हरि हरि बोल. हरे कृष्ण.